as time flies by, you'll open up your eyes wide. You feel it's gonna go your way. Hey, hey, it's a brand new day. Hey, 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 it's a brand new day.
Regular viewers will know that 2019 for me is going to be a bit more about me. It's very important to take time for ourselves. Personally, a mother of kids, now grown up, but you spend so many lives bringing them up and living that life that we tend to put ourselves last, which is why I love welcoming to the program people such as the amazing Glenn Harold, who is a hypnotherapist, but he's a self-help author who's sold absolutely millions of copies of his approach to, I suppose, well-being, really, at the end of the day. No, Glenn? Welcome to Marbella now. Hello.
Lovely to meet you and be here in this lovely place.
I'm pretty honoured. I mean, this guy sold millions of copies of his books, your tapes, your MP3s. I mean, it's a new world out there. No, Glenn, for getting the word out.
Do you know, it really is, because I started 20 years ago and I was selling cassettes. And I used to literally duplicate them myself. I used to run them off in a little home studio and sell them into local shops. Now I'm selling apps all over the world, and it's incredible because I get feedback from people in Mexico, New Zealand, Costa Rica, all over the world. So it's an amazing age that we live in, that I can make a recording and just project it out there and it goes everywhere.
Can I ask a silly question, but that's kind of famous for asking silly questions, things that some people don't dare ask because one supposes we know. When you say an app, from the little bit from my iPhone, I'm assuming this is something I can download that then will offer me information. How does it work? What is this app?
Exactly that. I mean, the recordings that I produce they tend to be like 30-minute meditations typically, and they can be on the main ones are deep sleep, weight loss, that kind of thing. But I've also got some on the fear of flying, and I've got over 100 titles. So they're very sort of mainstream, the original ones, but now I've got covered all kind of niche subjects. And so yeah, you literally download the app, and there's free recordings on there that you can listen to. If you like them, if you listen to them at night, you go to sleep and you think that was good, you can, then there's paid in apps. So you can buy the other ones within this app. And applications are getting bigger and bigger now, they're getting more interactive. So yeah, it's a real blessing to have the recordings in these, through this medium.
There seems to be a shift in the world, and I would say almost dramatically to the one side. You've got people who are so not aware of what's going on in the world, and they are automated into the system. And then you have those who are awakening, learning to touch base with oneself, meditating. Meditation is something that's easier said than done. Why is it so hard, Glenn, for us to meditate, to find that peace, literally peace of mind?
It's, a lot of the trouble is we live such busy lives, don't we? And with technology now, it's so easy to get, to sit on Facebook for an hour, or to be scrolling through your phone, looking at messages, and especially at night time, and your mind gets very stimulated when you do that. So one of the best things you can do to go to sleep at night is to cut off the phone an hour before and get into a meditative state. And really drop down in, you go from the beta state, which is full waking consciousness, down to alpha, theta, and then delta. And delta state is the state you need to be in for a good, nourishing night's sleep. And, so hypnosis is very empowering for helping you to do that. Because when you go into a state of hypnosis, you're actually going into like the same, your brainwaves are slowing down as they would do when you go to sleep at night. So it's a really empowering state, and it's something you can do at any time. Even if you're sitting in your car for 15 minutes and you've got a bit of time to kill, just turn your phone off, quieten your mind, go into that peaceful state.
How does one get into that peaceful state? I'm sure there's a lot of your books and tapes have to do with the method. Is there a trick to getting in that peaceful state, to switch off the inner chatter?
It's the monkey mind. You switch it off, but there is a technique to it. I always start through the breath. So breathing very slowly and deeply in through your nose, out through your mouth, and breathing away any stress and tension, breathing away any cares and worries, just forgetting about all your stresses, and then allowing yourself to get into that peaceful, centered state. And when you do that, it's so empowering, because you're you're tuning into, higher realms of consciousness as well. And certain meditations you can get very enlightened, very creative, and anyone can do it. And I always say that if you wanted to build a great physique, you go to the gym or you'd work out 3 or 4 times a week, and the mind is the same. So if you practice meditation and self-hypnosis regularly, your mind gets very sharp and you get very creative and very inspired. And so it's so important to do, especially because we do live such busy lives.
You're saying like 20 years ago you were selling cassettes.
Yeah.
How did you get originally into this line of being a hypnotherapist?
Yeah.
And
well, I was originally back in, as a kid, I grew up in a very dysfunctional household, and I got into lots of trouble when I was off the rails, and lots of addictions, drink and drugs. So it was I was looking to get myself out of that, to fix myself. And when I discovered hypnotherapy, I saw something in that would I could heal the conditioned patterns of behavior that were holding me back. And so it was through that it enabled me to overwrite those programs. In a state of self-hypnosis, I could take out the failure programming and replace those programs with something much more positive. And it was really, I was actually playing, I was also a musician, and I played a show one night where we shared the bill with a stage hypnotist. And it was watching him do his thing on stage that really sparked my interest. But I didn't want to do the stage thing. I didn't want to make people dance around like chickens and do outrageous things. It wasn't my thing. It was the power of hypnosis that really triggered me, and that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to change myself from the inside out. And nowadays I'm vegan, I'm totally fit, healthy, clear mind, healthy body. And
my children are vegan. It's very nice. Well, some of my children are vegan, so it's been very interesting to me watching that process and understanding it, which makes me realize very, very acutely that I am programmed to do so many things. I can eat an animal without thinking about it, because if our children were exposed to the realities of how those animals get to our table, or we were actually even eating animals, I think they'd be quite shocked. Why are we so easily programmed, and why is it so hard for us to reprogram?
We are easily programmed, and the media, the establishment know that, and they use that all the time. Basically through the media. It used to be.
Well, musicians, everything nowadays. It's
subliminal
messages.
Subliminal message everywhere. There used to be when you went into a supermarket, you used to be a lounge music. You'd hear lounge music, very relaxing music. All the fruit and veg are in front of you at first, and they say that they used to play subliminals under that music. That you're, you feel safe in here. You feel good when you're in here. That kind of thing, and it does work. It doesn't work with everyone all the time, but a certain percentage are very receptive to that kind of suggestion. And it's similar to when you see a stage hypnotist work. He will look for the somnambulists in the audience, and that's the 5 or 10% who are very, very susceptible to suggestion. But having said that, with experience as a hypnotherapist, I found that I could hypnotize pretty much anyone, because most people that would come to see me, they want to respond. They want to lose weight, they want to sleep better, they want to feel healthier, so they would naturally respond to the suggestions, and really that's the key to it. If you take on board those suggestions in an altered state of consciousness, they stay with you forever. They're anchored in your unconscious, and you respond to them automatically. And for me, that's the power of the recordings as well, because I make recordings that I've combined meditations with music and certain frequencies that are very powerful, as a composite whole, and they work for most people most of the time. And so if you've got a busy life, it doesn't take 15 or 20 minutes to take that time out and to really empower yourself from the inside out. So it's something everyone can do.
You have these books here: Lose Weight Now, Sleep Well Every Night, De-Stress Your Life, You Look Young, Live Longer. To categorize all these different sections, it must be quite tricky, because I imagine a lot of things overlap. Because you're stressed, you eat, and you're not sleeping well because of the stress, and you feel old and haggard in the sense it must be all kind of interrelated, no?
It really is, I mean, with these books, they are very much, entwined, and but really, the key is, if you
it's funny, the person, which note hits that person, no?
Which one hits hits the spot for that person? You know, with the Lose Weight book, I mean, that's the biggest seller, and it's really a case of, if you want to lose weight, if you want to reach your target weight, you have to be very, very focused on that. You know, and it has to be something that you've got the right motivation to do that from a starting point. So I always say to people, focus on one main goal at a time. You know, but once you have fixed that and you've got to your target weight, you are going to sleep better. You're going to feel less stressed. So it all works hand in hand. But the weight goal is something that, you know, if you put your mind to it and focus on it, you know, it's quite an easy thing to do. But sometimes what you have to do is take out the programs or the conditioning that put you there in the first place. You know, that sometimes you were taught that, you know, to clear your plate, or that, you know, a cake is a little treat at the end of a meal. But, you know, if you end up carrying an overweight, sluggish body around, you're not treating yourself, you're not nurturing yourself. So the book and the recordings about that are all about, you know, feeling good in yourself and loving yourself and feeling really...
Giving another explanation to possible reasons why we're overindulging or overstressing or over-worrying.
Yeah, that's it, because sometimes you don't. You just have the mental chatter going on. But we are so conditioned, you know, from our infancy. You know, we take on board programs that we sometimes inherit from other people, be it school teachers or parents or whatever. And sometimes those conditioned beliefs can stay with you, and you can act them out as an adult and you don't realise where they've come from. So a lot of my work has been about that, has been about
helping... To be more mindful then? To
be more mindful, but to understand where your your idiosyncrasies or your conditioned patterns of behaviour originate from. You know, if you keep doing something over and over again that's not good for you and you don't know how to get out of it, it's almost certain that you've got a pattern of behaviour running, a program in your mind that is out of your conscious awareness. And it's through meditation, or, you know, even taking it further through plant medicine and that kind of thing, that you can really access those deeper realms of your consciousness. Because it's said that, you know, if you think of an iceberg, the 10% that's above the surface is our conscious mind, and that's the left brain, the analytical part of our mind that we're in now. You know, we're communicating, and that part is very alert. But below the surface, the 90% is the unconscious mind, and within that we've got so much potential, we've got so much talent and superhuman ability. So, you know, through meditation you can tap into that and you can access this genius part of you.
Well, I think that is a perfect moment to finish on. Let's access our genius parts.
That's the way.
If you feel that you are programmed in like one of those vicious circles, check out Glenn Harold here. I have to say, just listening to you is mesmerising. I was nearly late this morning listening to you on YouTube because I was just so in the zone. Glenn Harold, thank you so much.
Thank you, Nicole.
Hypnotherapist, self-help author, great books, great CDs, and just a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
a pleasure.
Hey, hey.
Wearing a seatbelt is fundamental. Even braking suddenly at 7 kilometers an hour, your body will be thrust forward with the equivalent weight of 3 to 5 tons. That's like throwing yourself off headfirst of a 3-story building. We wouldn't want to do that. We wouldn't do that out of choice. Now, when you're pregnant, a lot of people choose not to wear the seatbelt because it's true that the lower belt can actually hurt your uterus or even damage the fetus. However, there is an adapter now available that is a cushion that goes on your car seat, and when you get in the car, what you do is you put your seatbelt on as you would normally. So you put your seatbelt on, and now you're sitting on your special seatbelt adapter, and then you take the part that's between the legs, which is the optimum position to put the belt, so it's below your uterus, it's below the baby, and if any pressure is exerted in case of sudden braking, it will not hurt you or the baby. But it is fundamental that you wear a seatbelt, because if you don't, you're risking your lives, your baby's life, and that of anyone else who is with you in the car or around you if you go through that windscreen. It's fundamental. Seatbelt first, but when you wear it correctly. And in pregnancy, it's very important to position that belt below the bump so you're all safe.
Hey, hey.